Hi, it's Darnell with Wave of Recipes, and this is my review of the Instant Omni Pro Toaster Oven and Air Fryer. So let's go ahead and get this unboxed. Alright, this is one of the more snugly wrapped cookers that I've unboxed, and that's a very good thing. But I wanted to show you the power cord. It's a three-prong power cord. It's a short cord, and that's a good thing, not too long. I'm going to show you some of the accessories that come with it. They give you a manual, and as far as the manual goes, there's no like extra recipes or anything, but the manual is about 27 pages in length in total. And that's all English instructions there, so it's not like half of that is some other language. So, you know, nice lengthy instruction manual, that's cool. This is the temperature probe that you can use inside the cooker to measure cooking. You know, while things cook, it'll turn things off automatically when the food is done. And so that's pretty cool. Also comes with some rotisserie forks here for using the rotisserie. There's an air fry basket. There's a baking pan here. There's also, for the rotisserie, there's the bar for putting the rotisserie forks on. And also there's this that you can use to get the rotisserie bar out of the cooker when you're cooking, because things will be hot. And there's also a regular type of a rack to use as well. Now, I want to also show you around the cooker a little bit, so I'm just going to kind of show you around the sides of it. You can see on this side there, you got air vent, airflow, and that side there. And let's show you around the back a little bit. You see around the back, there's not too big of a hump back there. A little bit of exhaust going on back there. So that's a good look around all sides of the cooker. Alright, so let me tell you a bit about this cooker now. It's 18 liters in capacity, or 19 quarts. It can hold up to a 12-inch pizza or a 4-pound chicken. So, you know, if you want a rotisserie up to a 4-pound chicken, you can. Sorry, it does not say 5. So if you want to get a 5-pound chicken, you're going to have to do it another way. Also, you can do 6 slices of bread in here. That's 6 store-bought size slices of bread. You know, when I do my homemade bread, you know, maybe we can get 3 in there, maybe. But basically, this cooker weighs in at 26 pounds. Its dimensions are 16.53 inches in length and 15.55 inches in width and 13.89 inches in height. And we will do some independent measure of those just to be sure of that. Also, I wanted to mention that you want to give this cooker 5 inches of space. That's 5 inches of space all around for clearance, and put it on a heat-resistant surface. Now, this cooker has 1800 watts of power. So with a cooker like this, it's got a heating element. I'll show you when we get inside of the cooker that the heating element's on top blowing down. You got 1800 watts of power. It's not a super large cooker. I mean, it's not like a 9 toast slice size cooker, so it's not super large. I would expect, and we will see when we do the testing and all, if it really pans out like that, but I would expect a cooker with this spec to perform exceptionally well, to cook things very hot and fast, to do a magnificent job with whatever we throw at it, but we will see how that goes. Now the temperature ranges for this cooker are between 70 degrees Fahrenheit minimum to 450 degrees maximum temperature, and that varies depending on function. This is pretty nice to be able to go down to as low as 70. I mean, you're talking room temperature. Of course, if your house is above 70 degrees, which most of our houses may be, then, you know, especially, you know, when it's like warmer months, it's going to be, you know, probably more than 70 degrees in your house. But all the same, you know, it doesn't have a cooler in it, so it can't cool things down to 70 if you set it to 70 and things are warmer than 70 in your house. But, you know, the minimum, I guess, if your house is that cool, would be 70 degrees Fahrenheit. And, you know, so that'll give you the ability to, you know, do everything from proof, dehydrate, up to your baking, your air frying, your roasting, your slow cooking and all. Pretty nice range, although, you know, 70 is, you know, a little interesting. But, you know, I like that it can get as low as your house probably, unless you've got a pretty cool house. And so at 450, you're talking about some pretty hot air frying. The time ranges vary between 1 minute to 72 hours. That depends greatly on the function that's being used. When I get into the details of each and every function, then we'll talk about what goes how long and what temperature ranges each function has. So now we're going to do a closer up view of the cooker, and everything really happens up here in the display, but I'll show you that once we get things plugged in. For now, we'll do a look at some of the hardware, and it has a pull-out crumb tray here that you can basically pull out for easy cleaning and such. And the door is a dual layer door here, so pretty sturdy door there with the dual glass. And when we look at the rack levels, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 rack levels. So 4 rack levels. You've got your rotisserie holders here and there. Here you've got your probe, your jack for your meat probe. So you've got down bottom here, you see 1, 2 heating elements. We go up top, we have 1, 2, and then a big 3, big circular 3 up there. And also have a fan up there with the heating element. There's also a light back there. I believe one of these is your light, I believe, going across, I think. But I guess we can see that light up later. And I'm not seeing where the ambient probe might be for certain. I'm not sure. I don't know if, you know, well, I guess that's a little screw there. That's not the ambient probe. So, not really sure where the ambient probe might be, but I'm sure that's in there somewhere. But the fan and all the movement happens up top there, blowing down on your food. And so that's a look inside. Alright, so now we've got the Instant Omni Pro next to the Ninja Foodie XL Pro Air Fry Oven. We'll do a few exterior measurements before we take a look at things inside, but across the top of the Ninja Foodie is about 17 inches. Across the top of the Instant is just a little over 15 inches, maybe about 15 and a half, close to 16 inches, about 15 and a half. So front to back, and I'm including the hump in the back of the Ninja Foodie, you've got almost 20 inches, almost 20. Front to back in the Instant, including its small hump, you've got, wow, now you, I mean, just about 15 inches on the nose. Just about 15 inches on the nose. That's something. Let's do height right quick. Height for the Ninja, we've got just a little over 13 inches. For the Instant, we've got just under 14. It's over 13 and a half, just under 14. So the Instant is smaller, and I think, you know, of course, with it having less of a handle profile, a lot less room taken up on the handle, but it's a smaller cooker over here on the Instant overall. And there's more that I have to show you about that, because things get interesting when we go inside. Now with the Ninja, you're inside actual, you know, available cooking space. It's about 14.5 inches on your Ninja. I mean, yeah, on your Ninja there. Almost about to get confused. But over here on the Instant, we have 14 inches even going side to side. So a little less, and that's going to make a big difference. But I'll show you in a sec. Now, when we go from the interior space top to bottom, it's not even 10.5 inches, about 10.25 inches. Interior cooking space here available. Let's say, because yeah, it's pretty shallow. I mean, we're talking not even 7 inches. Maybe about 6.5 inches there. Pretty shallow stuff. Let's see about front to back. We go front to back. In the Ninja, we've got 12 inches front to back. In here, I'm going to take the air fry basket out of here. Front to back, we've got about 13.5 inches. So a little more room inside front to back in here than in the Ninja. Why the difference? Because the Ninja, this Ninja has a fan guard. Some of the ones that when they first brought this cooker out had a fan guard. This one is one that has a fan guard. So that fan guard takes up a little room. So it makes a difference. So wanted to, since I took that air fry fan out, I mean the air fry basket, show you the basket here. This is the Ninja's basket. This is the Instant's basket. You see the Instant basket fits into the Ninja because it's smaller. And we'll take the bake pans out. You can see the Instant bake pan. You see the pans they're pretty similar. I mean, the Instant may even hold a little more. I mean, it may hold a little more here in the Instant, maybe. Just maybe. And when you get to these racks here, the regular racks, you see the, not far different, but I want to show you something really quick. I'm just going to put it down here on this lower rack level and put this one here. I've got a 13-inch bake pan with no handles. It does have a lasagna that I made some time ago in it, so we'll just have to go with that. But you see it fits right into the Ninja, no problem. When I try and get into the Instant, we hit the rail, the rack holders. The rack holders keep me from going further. I can't get a 13-inch bake pan in with no handles. I mean, and you can't get it that way because, you're not going to be able to close the door. So basically, the Instant misses by just a small bit being able to fit a 13-inch bake pan. That is very interesting. Alright, so now we have the Instant Omni Pro next to the Gourmet French door air fryer oven. And we see right off that the Instant is just a little taller. And so just doing a quick run of some measurements. Across here you've got 17 inches across on the Gourmet, whereas you had just, about under 16 on the Instant. We go top to bottom here. We see that the Gourmet comes in a good bit less, about 11.5, where the Instant goes up to, almost 14 inches there. And when we do the front to back, including that hump and handles, because we include it all, we're just under 15 there, whereas with the Instant we were just about 15 even there. And when we go inside of both cookers, and I'm just going to compare this, the regular rack I'll compare first. But you see the Instant rack, I mean, it goes all the way to the end of, the longer cooker. So a little bit more, maybe just a tad more. And when we're talking about air fry basket, because the Gourmet has a larger air fry basket, you do get more air fry room in the Gourmet. And when you're talking about the bake pan, the Instant wins on the bake pan situation. Now when we measure inside, top to bottom, we've got a little over 8.5 inches here, so we still got more room there than we got with the instant, which is, just about maybe 6.5, at, about that much. And front to back, inside, we've got, let me put it down here, we've got 13 inches on the Gourmet, front to back, and then instant, we've got front to back in the Gourmet, we've got about 13.5 inches there, or maybe 13, maybe about 13 inches. When you chop it off right at the door, it's about 13 inches there. And so the last side by side that I'll be doing, I've got the instant next to the Chefman air fry oven. And basically you can see that the Chefman is definitely a little more compact, shall we say, than the instant. And so just going side to side across the top on the Chefman, you do get about 15.5 there. So you get a little bit of width there. Whereas here on the instant, you've got just under 16. I mean, it's just a smidge wider, just a smidge. And when we go front to back here on the Chefman, which has almost no hump, but very, very small, you've got 15 inches there, and I think, as I've already said earlier, with the instant, you've got just about, when I include, well, let's see, just about 15 inches here. So kind of even there, but when we do the top to bottom, we've got, on the instant, we've still got our almost 14 inches, and over here on the Chefman, we've got just about 14 inches too. It looks like the Chefman's a little more compact, but they're not very far off, when you measure them up from one another. Now when we go inside, the Chefman has just about 12.5 inches there, whereas with the instant you're getting about 14-ish, but you can't get a 13-inch bake pan with no handles at either one. So it's kind of like a moot point with both of them. When you go front to back inside the Chefman, you get about 13 inches, and with this one, with the instant, when we go front to back, we still get just about 13 inches there. So kind of similar. This one might be, the instant might be a little wider inside, but it kind of, you can get a 12-inch pizza in both, but you can't get a 13-inch bake pan with no handles at either. So, pretty even. Now, when we look at the air fry basket, I mean, it's like, they probably went to the same manufacturer to get these air fry baskets, you know what I mean? When you look at the rack, you got a little bit of a bigger rack on the instant. When we look at the bake pan is definitely smaller for the Chefman. So that's all the comparison I'll be doing with other cookers with this instant. But I will say, if you're interested in any other comparisons or anything, you'll have to kind of come to your own conclusions from looking at previous videos and measurements that I've done in those reviews and such. Alright, so let's do a plug-in of the cooker now. So when I plug things in, we see it kind of lights up. I will say, I did a plug-in with the lights on it before this, and this background is so faint that my light drowned it out. You couldn't even see this display at all because it's kind of faint. But you can see it now, and so I want to also show you, you've got your different options here you can start with. And when I do a light, turn the light on there, you can see over here in the corner, there's a light over there, up in the corner there, a little light in a little rectangular box. So that's the light. And so now I'm going to basically go through all the functions just to show you, what their, to tell you what their min and maximum are. And so with air fry, when air fry comes up, you've got, it has a preheat, I want to mention, and it has a time range of between 1 and 45 minutes. The temperature ranges are between 180 degrees Fahrenheit and 450 degrees Fahrenheit. And I want to show you how this goes. If you click on the oven box, as soon as you click on the oven box, then you can select, up and down on your temp. You click on the time box starts flashing. Pretty cool, huh? And you can do, up and down on your time. So that's pretty cool. And for something like air fry, when you want to do a rotisserie type thing, you can click on rotate and get your rotisserie going. And the convection fan stays on high. You can't adjust convection fan on air fry, but on some other options you can adjust how high or low the convection fan runs. But the next option we're going to go to is roast. And with roast, we're going to, we'll get that rotisserie off of there, but with roast, you've got a time range between 1 minute and 4 hours, temperature range between 180 degrees Fahrenheit, 450 degrees Fahrenheit. And with roast, you can adjust the convection fan to low or high. You cannot turn the convection fan off. You can just do low convection or high convection. Now, the next option to go to is the broil. And under the broil, we have no preheat. Time limit is between 1 and 20 minutes. And you can do between 350 and 450. I don't know if that's just, yeah, you can do between 350 and 450 for, your temperature range. I wanted to check if it was just 350 or 450, or you could do anything in between. And you can do anything in between 350 and 450. Now, when we click on the bake, we can basically do with bake between 1 minute and 4 hours. Time ranges are 180 degrees Fahrenheit to 450 degrees Fahrenheit. And bake also has a preheat. I have not seen any option on how to skip a preheat. So basically, let's say I start cooking and it says preheating. I can't skip the preheat to make it cook. I can't skip it. So I'm just going to cancel to stop it and turn the light back out. And it's doing, I guess, a standard cool down. So while it does that standard cool down, I'm going to go on to the next function here. And the next function is the slow cook. And with the slow cook, there's no preheat. The time range is between 2 and 20 hours. That's 2 hours, 20 hours. The cook temperature for slow cook is between 200 and 250 degrees Fahrenheit. So I like with slow cook that they give you a real nice range of temperatures you can use, and if you hold on to the button, it does go a little faster. But they give you a nice range you would use for a real slow cook, between 200 250, and the time range is, you can go a long time between 2 and 20 hours. Now the cooker's not that large to cook really large meats long, but you can do, slow cook in the ranges that you would normally do a slow cook. The next option is warm, and with warm there's no preheat. The time range is between 1 minute and 2 hours. Temperature ranges are between 170 degrees Fahrenheit and 300 degrees Fahrenheit. The next option is reheat. Reheat has no preheat, and you get between 1 minute and 1 hour. And you get temperature ranges between 120 degrees Fahrenheit, and it says like maybe 360 or something like that. I'm going to see where it maxes out. It maxes out, yeah, 360 on a reheat. I thought that was kind of strange to have a max of 360. It seems a little weird, but the max is 360 for a reheat. And so the next option is proof. Proof has no preheat, and the time is 1 minute to 4 hours. You can go as low as 70 degrees Fahrenheit if your room is that cool, or up to 100 degrees Fahrenheit with proof, which are standard proof temperatures, which is pretty cool for that. So what we can tell so far about this cooker is that real cooks were involved in designing the basically setup of time and temperatures. Some cookers have times and temperatures for settings that make no sense. But you can tell with this cooker, real cooks were involved in it, or some real cooks were advising them on time and temperature ranges. Now the next option is toast, and with toast, basically when you go to toast, you have this bar here, shows you, you know, you can go between 1 and 7. And let's see, we click there, and then we can adjust our, you know, our range there, and it gives a different time for the different ranges of darkness. You can't do a number of slices, but you can do, oh, let's see, over here it's got 2-piece, but I can't adjust that. I thought maybe that would be like 2 pieces of bread or something, but I can't adjust that. But I can adjust the toast level by just clicking on that there. So, you know, it just says 2PC, but there's no way to adjust that. You can just do your darkness level adjustments. So our next option is dehydrate. Now with dehydrate, we have no preheat with dehydrate, and the time range is between 30 minutes and 72 hours. The temperature range is between 85 degrees Fahrenheit and 175 degrees Fahrenheit. Now the fan on the cooker finally turned off. Took like maybe 5 to 10 minutes. It takes a long time for that fan to run, but it's standard cool down. Now I want to show you basically with the meat probe how you do with that. You've got your meat probe here, and you open the little jack here, and you stick the meat probe on in, and you know, you would put the meat probe into your food. And so let's say you closed up with things in there, and this is a, you know, reasonable meat probe setup where you don't have to try and, you know, go through the door. It's already in there. That's pretty cool. So let's say that I did a roast, and you know, for the target temperature, because it knows I got the probe in, the target meat temperature, you know, let's say I click on target, and then I go down to like 160 as the target meat temperature. You click on target, and then you do that. And then for the oven temp, you click on oven, and it switches to oven, and then you can adjust your cooking temperature. So that's your cooking temperature. When you click on target, let's see, here I'm getting target back. I thought we would get target back, but we don't. So let's say we switch, yeah, you have to switch function again in order to click on target again, and then adjust your temperature again, and then you can switch your oven, but you can't go back to target again. Won't let you go back to target unless you change the function. And so you've got a target, you've got a cooking temperature, and then let's say that you hit start, and then it's going, and it's supposed to switch between the cooking temperature and the meat temperature, but it didn't really show me that there. I guess maybe it switches in time. So let's say I go ahead and hit start again. Oh, it's doing the preheat, so it won't show me the meat temperature until it's actually cooking, but it's supposed to go between temperature and meat temperature. So we'll have to play with that a little bit more later. Now while things are just cooling off a little, I wanted to mention that the option that I showed earlier for, oh, it says, you see that? When I click on that function and doors open, it says, hey, the door is open. You can't do that yet. When you close the door, then it's like, okay, now you can do something. But the convection adjustment button, you can only adjust the convection from high and low on roast, broil, bake, and dehydrate. You can't adjust it on others. Like air fry, it just runs and there's nothing you can do. And then there's others where I guess you wouldn't have any fan, and you know, that just is what it is, or maybe it has a fan for everything and you just have to deal with the fan for everything, but you have no control over it on anything except for roast, broil, bake, and dehydrate. Now I'm going to talk to you about how to use the rotisserie. The rotisserie only works with air fry, roast, and bake, so you want to keep that in mind. So for working with the rotisserie, you have the rod and the forks here, and you know, spit and forks if you want to use that terminology. But you have to basically unscrew your forks, get your rod in to the fork, then you tighten that fork on, and then you do the same thing on the opposite side. You put your meat on, and then you put the fork on the opposite side. Now let's say I had some food in here locked in, and I would go in here, and basically what you do, you're going to take this side that has the little prong there, and you see the other side is kind of flat on the rod. So you take that side with the prong and you stick it on in to a hole over here, get it in snug, and then you rest on the other side here for the rotisserie. You wouldn't have this rack in while you were using the rotisserie. If you have that in there, then you'd set it to your function like I showed with the rotation button going and start, and your rotisserie would start spinning there. We can just real quick do that just so you see the rotisserie maybe spinning around in there. We'll see what happens. So if I click on the roast, and can I get the, no, it's not going to give me, it's not going to give me the option to rotisserie because I've got this in here. No wonder. This thing is pretty smart. You got the probe in, it knows you can't do rotisserie with the meat probe. It's not going to allow you to do rotisserie with the meat probe in. But we can do air fry, do a rotate, and do a start. And once we start, it's already spinning. Even though it's preheating, it was trying to spin. I think it may have hit the rack. So I'm taking the rack out so that we can see the rotisserie spinning, because it was starting to spin, but it hit the rack, I believe. So we'll just hit air fry, we'll hit rotate to get rotate going, and then we hit start. And even while it's preheating, the rotisserie is spinning even while things are in the preheat mode. So that's pretty cool to see that the rotisserie actually works. One other thing to mention regarding the rotisserie is when you're getting food in and out, especially if you don't have any heat resistant gloves, you'll need this tool that they give you to get things in and out. And you basically lift it up off there, and then you can get your food out. Now getting it in, you know, you've got to make sure that you get the rod in the right spot into that hole there. But you can get it in and out like that using the tool, you know, if you don't have some good heat resistant gloves, or maybe you just don't want to use them. But that's how the rotisserie works. Now I'm going to talk about split cook. Split cook allows you to cook with two different functions in a single cook. And split cook only works for air fry, roast, broil, bake, warm, and reheat. So let's say that I wanted to start out with the roast. And then you would click on split cook after you do roast. And so that's function one, is roast. And then you click on split cook again, and your next function you could select from. So let's say we kept it on air fry after we did the roast. So function one is going to be our roast, function two is going to be air fry. You would select your time and temp for each one of your functions, and you know, then you could start and you would go at it like that with the split cook. Alright, now I'm going to do a memory test on the cooker, and just to check if it remembers what I set things for. So let's say I have it at air fry, and I set my target temperature to 450, and I set my target time to 30 minutes. So 450 and 30 minutes, and I hit start with that, and so it's starting to preheat, but then I cancel, and it does that standard cooldown even if you run something for a moment. But I go back in to air fry. Remember that I did 450, 30 minutes. So if I switch to a different function, and then let's say I cancel to turn the cooker off, and then I go back in the air fry, it still remembers, hey, he likes 450, 30 minutes, so it remembers and did it again. Now I'm going to unplug, which you shouldn't do when things are really warm, but it's not really warm in there. And I'm going to plug it back in. I'm going to see, does it remember after being unplugged and plugged back in what I had? It does. So the cooker has pretty good memory, and that's pretty nice. Now what I want to do, I'm going to go over here to toast, and on level 4 of toast we see that it's going to do 5 minutes 29 seconds. Now, whether or not it will recognize the cooker is hot and adjust toast time down when the cooker's hot remains to be seen, but we will test that out, and we will remember that on level 4 toast, it's 5 minutes 29 seconds. Now we're going to do a little temperature testing. I've got my iGrill 2 ambient probe in there, and I've got things on the 3rd rack level up, and I'm going to close up, and we're going to go ahead and we'll do an air fry. We'll keep it at our 450 for 30 minutes. And we'll see how long it takes for things to basically reach temp and, see how the ambient probe reads versus its own internal, temperature probe there. And so we see right now in the cooker, it's about 86 degrees. And so we're going to go ahead and click start. And we'll, it's preheating now. We'll see how long it takes to preheat, and we'll see, after that, how long it takes to, if it hasn't reached 450 actually by then, how long it takes. But it says that this cooker has a quick preheat, so we're going to see what temperature it's reached by the time its quick preheat is done. If it's really, in fact, the temperature that we're targeting with its quick preheat, or if it's something less. But it's been just a short period of time, and it seems to be heating up pretty good. Alright, so it was preheating for maybe near 5 minutes, somewhere, maybe close to 5 minutes, if not a full 5 minutes. But I'm reading on the ambient probe just 342, and it's reading 450. So, the preheat's done after, some time, but it didn't reach our desired temperature in that time. I mean, we're about 100 degrees off. So, it's way off from 450 when preheat is done, and it's in the cooking. So the temperature is still going up a bit. So we'll see how far up the temperature continues to go now that it's in the cooking phase and up to 360 and rising. Alright, so things have been going in the cook phase for about 6 minutes, but the temperature did get well over 450 degrees Fahrenheit. It's now at 469 degrees Fahrenheit and still rising. Alright, so after things were going for about 6 to 7 minutes, the temperature started going down a little bit from the 460 range, so now it's at 458. So it's still holding over 450, and I'm going to let it keep going for a few more minutes. Alright, so things have been cooking in the cook phase for 10 minutes now. The temperature has gone back up, and it's up to 469. So the temperature does stay in the range that you set for, just a little higher, but within the range that you set for, and it goes a little higher, but it continues to maintain. So that's not bad. Now I want to check if I open the door, what's going to happen. You see it, says open, and it stops, so auto pause on the door. Very nice. And we're going to now basically feel the outside for how hot things are on the outside. So the top is kind of hot, kind of warm. I don't want to keep my hand there for, I don't want to keep my hand there, but I can touch it. I just don't want to keep my hand there. The door is hot, all the way around. In the back, I mean, it feels like it's hot in the back. I guess I just touched it for a quick sec. It's hot all over. I mean, it's like hot all over. Like if you touch it, you're going to know you touched it. You might not, leave a bruise or anything. You might not leave a burn mark or anything, but you're going to know you touched it. So, it's pretty hot all over, in my opinion. And so now I'm basically going to check the temperature on the fly. Can I change it on the fly? I'm clicking on oven, on temperature. I can't change anything. Can I change the time? Okay, now it recognized it. Gotta be, yeah, you can change it. You gotta be pretty forceful with the touch. If you just press lightly, it's not going to recognize necessarily, but like if I just tap lightly, it's not recognized. But if I press, then it's like, okay, I got it. So, you know, depending on the aggressiveness of your touch, it may or may not respond to your, you know, what you hit. And I guess, you know, after you don't change something, it starts beeping at you that, hey, you know, you got me in this mode and you didn't change anything. But basically that's how it goes as far as, you know, the temperature on the outside, as far as how hot it is. And you can change things on the fly, but with this touch screen, you've got to make sure that you press a little firm, just a little firm, or it's not going to recognize it if you do a soft touch. Now, I'm going to go ahead and cancel this now. And so now I'm going to go back to toast. Let's find toast there. And you see toast is down to 4 minutes, 10 seconds. It's on level 4. It's on level 4, and it's 4 minutes, 10 seconds. So it does adjust down when the cooker's hot. Toast adjusts itself when the cooker's hot, and that's a pretty good thing. Alright, so you hear the fan running because it's still hot in the cooker there from some temperature testing and such. But I'm going to see how it does with some toast. This is refrigerator cold bread, so it's right out the fridge, but it is homemade. You see how big the slices are compared to an ordinary dinner plate, and so, you know, I bake them pretty big. So now I'm going to put the bread in there, 2 slices, and I'm going to go ahead and hit the, well, it's telling me it's open, so I can't do toast. But now it's got toast, and so hit start, and it realizes, you know, it was like at 420 something, so it realizes that, you know, it wasn't as hot as earlier. It cooled down just a little bit. That's pretty good. You know, it kind of recognizes right where it's at as far as temperature, and tries to adjust toast accordingly. But we're going to go ahead and let this toast continue cooking, and then we'll see how it looks when it's time to get it out of there. Alright, we're coming into the final seconds of our toast, and we'll see how things look. It looks like it's getting toasted up in there. So that's the end of the toast, and I'm going to go ahead and open up. Some functions, I was waiting to see what would happen, but some functions, when you're done cooking, they have a basically a warm. It goes into an automatic warm. You know, you don't have to do like a stage cook to do warm after a cook. In some functions, after it's done, it goes right to warm if you're not using the meat probe. If you're using the meat probe, it will not do warm, and I guess with toast it won't do it either. But here you see the completed toast. On this side it's pretty well done. The other side is pretty even. So both of them pretty evenly done. You know, not bad at all. And you know, I don't see a real difference, you know, no major difference back to front, not really. This one got a little more cooked down there on the bottom there, got a little more cooked, a little singed. But overall, you know, I'd say fairly even, pretty good for toast. Now I've got some biscuits here I'm going to try and basically bake up in the cooker. I'm going to get them out and get them set out here on the bake pan. I've got the bake pan lined with the Copper Chef Bake and Grill mat. Nothing in this video is sponsored, but I'm going to go ahead and get them out now. Alright, so I got my biscuits all out on the bake pan, all 8 of them. Now I'm going to set the cooker to bake, and I'm going to set the temperature up to 375. And now that that's at 375, and I guess the fan has finished its thing, so, you know, I guess things have cooled down a bit in there, but I think it's probably still a little warm. And for the cook time, I'm going to set the cook time to 15 minutes. You're supposed to do something, you know, about 375, 15 minutes for biscuits and hit start. We'll let things preheat, then I'll get the pan on in. Alright, things are done with their preheat, so now I'm going to go ahead and get the pan on in there, and it gives me a moment to get it in. I think I want to be on the second rack level, so put them in right there like so, and going to close up, and we'll let things go ahead and cook. I'll try and keep the light on for you. Let's see, if I turn on my main light, it's going to brighten things up a bit. Now, you know, sorry you can't really see the display too well, but, you know, maybe you can watch the biscuits as they kind of cook along in there. Now these biscuits have been going for just 5 minutes, but they're looking kind of done. You know, you got the heat coming down. The convection fan runs on bake. It runs low. You can adjust it if you want on the fly between low and high, but it's on low. And there's no way to turn the convection fan off during a bake. You just, you know, I guess the fan just runs all the time, or, you know, it is what it is with the fan. But all the same, it looks like even down under the bottom, they're getting pretty well cooked. And we're talking about just, you know, 5 minutes. I mean, that's pretty interesting. It's pretty quick. And so, I guess I should get them out because, you know, it's been 5 minutes, but they're looking cooked. Or 6 minutes, you know, well, 6 minutes and they're cooked. So, here go our finished biscuits. They look pretty good. I'm gonna get some of these biscuits off and just put them on the plate, and then we'll try and break one open. And they do look fairly even all around. You know, all these biscuits seem evenly cooked. It doesn't seem like there was a need to do any type of a spin of the pan. You know, that's pretty good. So now I'm going to try and just break one of these open, and we'll just see how it looks inside. It's, you know, it's a little gooey in there. It's a little gooey. So they got, you know, look at the bottom. The bottom is, you know, near black. The top is done, but the inside, you know, they were only in there 6 minutes, and the inside's got a little goo on it. Let's try another one. Now this one's done. This one is done. But, you know, they're pretty well cooked. I don't know if, you know, maybe this one will, from a little carryover, get a little more cooked, or I can heat it up a little better later. I'm gonna try one more. Yeah, this one's got a little goo in it too, just a little. So, you know, the biscuits need like another minute or two to finish cooking, but, you know, what are you gonna get for your biscuits after another minute or two? Yeah, they'll be, you know, well cooked, but, you know, like I was saying, 1800 watts, fan coming down, you're on bake, you can't kill the fan. And so what you get is biscuits that, you know, the outsides are overcooked and the inside's not done yet. Or the, you know, outside's cooked but the inside's not done yet. And to get that inside better done, you're going to get a lot more cooked of an exterior even on the bottom, because those bottom heating elements are working pretty hard too. So, you know, I think that is a drawback in my opinion for this cooker, having a fan that runs on bake and you can't stop it on bake. You know, you get a problem like this, you know, at 1800 watts, you get a dilemma like that. Now it's time to try an air fry test. I've got some thick sliced bacon. I'm going to get laid out on the air fry basket. And I have the wet paper towels under in the bake pan because that helps to basically catch those drippings and avoid smoke. I do that with most every air fryer now, and it works out very well, you know, for cookers that don't have any smoke problems at all or keep smoke down. It, you know, works out real well. and even some that have troubles with smoke, it helps, you know, in any case it helps. So, you know, whether or not this cooker can handle smoke well, we'll see. But, you know, if it has smoke problems, when you do bacon like this, it's got some real smoke issues, and that's rare. Alright, we were able to get 6 slices into the air fry basket. So now I'm going to turn this main light off so that you can better see the display again. And sorry for the camera shaking a little bit when I did that. But I'm clicking on air fry. I'm going to take the temperature down to 400 degrees Fahrenheit. And I'm going to adjust the cooking time. I'm going to move it down to 20. I don't think it'll need more than 20, but we'll see. And so I'm going to hit start with that. We'll let it preheat, then we'll get it on in. Alright, preheat's done. I'm going to put this air fry basket, well, the pan here, up on level 3, and put the air fry basket on the rack I'm in. So I got a rack on level 3, got the air fry basket on the rack. Going to put this bake pan, put it down on the bottom to catch the drippings. And we'll let that go ahead and run, and we'll see what happens. Things have been going for 10 minutes. I'm just going to show you inside. The bacon looks like it's cooking up. There is some smoke starting to come out, so things are starting to get smoky in there. And I think with 10 minutes it might be done. It might be done. Let's open and see. A lot of smoke coming out when I open the door for sure. No, it's not done. Bacon is not near done. So we got to let it keep going. So we'll let it keep running and bring you on back, you know, when things have moved further along. Alright, so things have been going for, you know, a little bit of time, and I guess, you know, we got 7 minutes left, so things have been going for 13 minutes, and then it gave me a turn symbol that I could turn. It does turn on like air fry and bake and some functions when it's like, you know, at a point where if you want to turn, you can turn. But, you know, with 13 minutes having passed, I'm just going to check the bacon again and see how it looks. So here we have our 13-minute bacon. I think that's pretty good for, you know, that's pretty good. So we'll stop with that at 13 minutes. And I'll just go ahead and get my main light turned on, and we'll get the bacon on out and get it plated here. It's all like kind of strung together. You can see the back side of the bacon. It's cooked pretty good on the back, it's cooked pretty good on the front, so, you know, no real need to flip the bacon over. I think maybe the bacon over on the left cooked a little less than the bacon on the right. I do see a slight difference there. The bacon, well, the bacon on the left, yeah, is a little more cooked than the bacon on the right. So that's interesting. But, you know, I don't know if maybe that's, you know, the ends of it cooked pretty good. But overall, definitely cooked a little more over here on the right than on the left. That's interesting. So, gonna go ahead, move the camera around. So here's our cooked up bacon. So I'm gonna get that one that was on the side that didn't get cooked as much and try it just to see, you know, how well cooked it is. It's a little, doesn't have, you know, it's not very stiff, whereas the one over here that got cooked more is totally stiff. So you see a major difference there. I'm just gonna do a taste test of this one. Alright, so the bacon turned out very well. Now let's talk about cleaning this cooker. With cleaning, all the accessories can go in a dishwasher except for the meat probe. The meat probe you gotta do by hand. They don't give guidance on what rack level to use in the dishwasher with those accessories. But the main cooker itself and the meat probe you do, basically the probe, you know, you can just do by hand, and the cooker itself, you want to take like a wet, soft rag, clean the inside, wet soapy soft rag, and clean the inside and clean, you know, if there's anything on the outside, clean it off, and then just get another wet rag or the same wet rag with no soap on it and just clean things out to get the residue and all off of it. And so, you know, it looks like cleanup is not going to be too much hassle. Usually I wash everything by hand except the air fry basket. I will knock any excess debris off and wash the air fry basket in the dishwasher on that top rack. That usually turns out pretty good with most air fryers that I've used. And so also with the warranty for this cooker, there's a 1-year limited warranty. One interesting thing that they say about that 1-year limited warranty is that shipping is on your dime. And so that's something to keep in mind as far as that's concerned. Now overall, this cooker, you know, it did decent with the bacon. The smoke that came out, there was some smoke that came out, but it didn't like set off the smoke alarms, but it did, you know, as we went into the cook, it did start to create some smoke. But not too bad, you know what I mean? Not too bad. It wasn't too bad, but there's some. With the toast, did just fine. With the baking, concern, you know, concern. You know, those biscuits, I'll have to finish them off in a different cooker that doesn't overcook things, or maybe just put them back in this cooker after, you know, it's cooled down or something. I don't know. I mean, I'll probably just put them in a different cooker. I don't want to put them back in this cooker and try and finish them because the tops are just getting too brown. So I can put them in another cooker that won't do the tops too brown and, you know, finish them off that way and just get them finished cooked. But that's concerning that it doesn't, you know, cook the inside of things well enough while the outside of those biscuits get cooked up so much. I mean, I guess you could use a lower temperature setting, but still, it's still a concern, you know? It's still a concern that it turned out like that. But overall, it's a decent cooker. It can do a lot of cooking. It, you know, 1800 watts is definitely going to do things, you know, pretty hot and pretty quick in a lot of cases. You know, like with the biscuits, it baked them up pretty good. The bacon, you know, 13 minutes is not bad for cooking time. It's not as fast as some others, though. I would have expected a little faster from this cooker for the bacon, just a little faster, but that's okay. Toast, you know, turned out good, but overall, it's able to get jobs done. But you want to be aware when it comes to the baking. You know, you got to be careful there. I guess maybe cover things up after a while, put some foil over them, so that, you know, that's one thing you can do to prevent things from getting over brown on the top or something. But that's still an extra step you don't have to do with some others. It's all up to you though. And so in the video description, there's a lot of ways to help the channel. You can buy the cookbook, you can do other things to help the channel as well. And if you did like this video, please do give it a thumbs up. Share the video with a friend, leave your comments, subscribe, hit that notification icon, and good eating.